Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'm discussing my thoughts on episode 6 of the anime series Sora Yori mo Tooi Basho, or A Place Further Than the Universe. And I had a blast with this episode. There was some really highfalutin hilarity going on, and it all kind of ramps up to this really unexpected level of heartfelt characterization by the end, all revolving around Miyake's having seemingly lost, or more likely misplaced, her passport, really endangering her, partaking in this grand adventure, going to Antarctica and everything like that. The episode opens with them jumping a plane, and they're on their way to Australia. They land in Australia, but not before a whole bunch of hilarity ensues on the plane. You have Yuzuki, who's kind of like the old hat at this, but it's all work related, so she doesn't really want to talk too much about it. But Miyake, Mari, and Shirase, they're mostly enjoying themselves. Shirase, this is the first time she's ever been on a plane, so she's kind of nerve-wracked and everything like that. It's hilarious how Mari's like trying to con her out of her sweet egg when she doesn't want to eat her celery. Can we trade? And later she falls asleep and she misses out on dessert. It looks like shaved ice or something like that. I don't exactly know. But she's livid about that. And of course, Shirase, she's looking at the screen on the back of the seat ahead of them, which has like video games you can play. Mari loves playing video games. She jumps right into that. And then later we see Shirase herself bawling her ever-loving eyes out, watching something that closely approximates the documentary film March of the Penguins, which I actually received on DVD as a birthday gift from my sister a few years back now, because penguins are like my all-time favorite animal in nature. I think they are adorable. Everything like that. Nothing to do with the Batman villain, just I love penguins in general. She always gets me like, sort of plushy penguins and stuff like that, little toy penguins, and I have a whole bunch of them that I've saved that she's gifted me because I just love them. And I thought it was hilarious that here she is bawling her eyes out watching this documentary film about penguins. Penguins will probably be in Antarctica where they're headed, and what's going to happen, when she sees them and such like that. So it was pretty hilarious, that whole plane trip and everything like that. The grand adventure begins, as I say, and once they are landed in Australia, of course, the hilarity ensues that much more, because you have Miyake and Mari, most especially, spending all of their saved up money on souvenirs and stuff like that, trying to talk people into discounts using poor English, such like that, at like a hot dog vendor or whatever like that. They are really, really excited about seeing the Mer-Lion, this statuesque, sort of water fountain. And when they finally get there, they're kind of let down that it doesn't suck as much as they thought it was going to. And Shirase, I think it is like, you thought it was going to suck? Or, Yuzuki, one of them, is like, you thought it was going to suck? That's what you were hoping for? That it was garbage? That's how, why were you excited then? And but they apparently loved it so much. Miyake later in the hotel, she's got like a headdress that's the Mer-Lion spitting water, and it's absolutely hilarious. But in all of this hilarity, this is what brings about the loss or misplacement of Miyake's passport, and it really gets sort of dramatic in the effect that she's suddenly willing, she's more than considerate of the other girls, and she ultimately decides for everyone, well, look, we can't get this passport back. I guess I'm just going to sacrifice my place. You girls go on ahead, and if I can work it out, I'll meet up with you. If not, I'll go back home, And as I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, there are many ways she could get a replacement, contact the embassy. Oh, well, they explain readily as they're figuring it out themselves. Well, it's Sunday tomorrow. It's late in the day on Saturday. The embassy won't be open. We'll have to wait a couple of days. Okay, why don't you go back to the airline and see if you left it there when you checked in Australia. They don't do that, to my knowledge, and I was even thinking, well, if you had left it behind at the Japanese airport where you were getting on the plane, couldn't they send it via post or something like that? Yes, it would take a couple of days. All this stuff, and it did occur to me, one of the first things that occurred to me was, well, watch, one of the other girls has it, like, absentmindedly she handed it off, and it got, mixed up with her own personal stuff, whatever, and that's going to be what happens, because if you look at the OP, all 4 girls end up in Antarctica, for all the sake of the hurdle that this suddenly represents. not one of them is going to be left behind, so how are they going to work this out? I'm really wondering. And it's intriguing to me, the really character depth moment, the conversation between Miyake and Shirase, who are sharing a hotel room, where she's like, I gave up on school. I had to leave school because I found people just to be untrustworthy. People who would try to hold my hand and be there for me. There was some disingenuous, interactivity there, where when the other leg would drop, I would find that they would stab me in the back, or they were only using me for their own devices or whatever like that. So I hate, loathe, and despise whenever anyone is trying to care for me and be, overly compassionate toward me along those lines. Like, I don't want to be a victim and all this stuff. And I could kind of understand where she's coming from. But I also had the idea that Shirase can kind of sort of relate to being treated that way by others in school. She has a very bad time of it. She ignores it for the most part, but, she has a bad time of other people, as she says later, who make fun of her, who disrespect her, who don't take her seriously and all this kind of stuff. And so both of them in their school environments, when Miyake was in school, but when Shirase is as well, they both feel like they are just exempt from everyone else, that they're off on their own. They feel that solitude. They can't interact and get along with other people. They can't trust other people. And so because of how well Shirase could relate to what Miyake was imparting, she then, the next day, she doesn't wake Miyake up. She then, while Yuzuki's trying to reformat the plane tickets, try to get a later flight, buy them sometime so they can go to the embassy once it opens again and try to get a new passport for her. When that fails, Shirase is immediately like, well, that's it. I'm going to do something to fix this scenario. And she is willing to then just completely and utterly blow her 1 million yen savings that she has built up for the purposes of assuring that all 4 of these girls get to go on this trip. Whenever they can, they'll get the next flight. They'll get business class. She'll spend all her money and make sure all 4 of them get to go. Because what's the point of all this? We're all in this together. It's, that's the vow we all made to each other. It's kind of an unspoken vow. But it's not, none of us are going to get left behind in this grand adventure. That's what's important to me now. Now that we've spent time together, now that we've forged these bonds that are only going to be that much stronger as time goes on and as this adventure continues. And Miyake, for her part, she breaks down crying. She's never had anyone be this willing to bend over backwards and sacrifice something for her, to include her in whatever was going on, whatever the adventure was that was awaiting. And it was really heartfelt, and I loved that, And then it all kind of gets flipped on its ear when they're having the meal later. I guess, I don't know what kind of fruit it was, I don't remember, but it's apparently a really bitter, sour-tasting fruit or something. It tastes like garbage, which I guess is like an Australian delicacy or something. But they're I think Mari or whatever's off ordering this for them to try, have like a taste test challenge. And Shirase, in going into her purse, when they got the new tickets that she spent all her money on, she realizes that there is Miyake's passport in her purse. I was like, damn it, I knew it. I knew one of them was going to have it. I didn't know which one of them it was, but go through all of your stuff, please. Before you have this heartbreaking sacrificial act from Miyake, she's going to stay behind. She's going to get left behind. She might not be able to get home to Japan. Before you conclude all of this, at least all of you look through your stuff, because I was assured one of you must have it. She didn't lose it all told, and sure enough. And the horror, the abject horror on Shirase's face when she sees it in her purse. I was dying. I had to pause the episode because I had a laughing fit that wouldn't quit. I was teary-eyed and everything. And I was just cracking up for like a minute straight. And again, pounding my fist. I knew it! Damn it! And so, of course, they sort of then use the bitter tasting fruit as like a punishment, kinda, for Miyake and Shirase, imposed by Yuzuki and Mari, which is hilarious as well. And it's kind of a blink and you'll miss it little bit of dialogue where they say, well, apparently we managed to get back in touch with the airline. We switched back to our original tickets, so we only have to wait the time we thought we're gonna be on the next plane when we originally expected. Everything worked itself out again, so they're back on schedule, their original schedule, according to the dialogue. At least that's what I took from it. So they won't have to wait the 2 days, which are now unnecessary because she has her damn passport. You know, and it cracked me up because it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, you know. And that just goes to show you, like, you know, in the early going, I had thought the one who was going to be the most absent-minded was Mari. And time and time again, we're saying, oh, well, it's Shirase. Oh, well, Miyake is. You know, they all are taking their turns in absent-minded hilarity and everything like that. They're not all there. They're all young girls. They're all going on this adventure for the first time. And it's an alien, you know, fish out of water sort of environment, circumstance, whatever you want to say. So they can't all have it together all the time, and it's their working together and being together and being friends and companions on this journey that's going to keep them straight as possible, as they can manage in any case. And it's just adorable and hilarious. You know, and they have that last sort of lingering post-credits shot of I think it's the two women who are going to be overseeing this and everything like that. And sort of, you know, there was no dialogue spoken. They're just sort of stargazing, but the air after everything that happened in the episode, my initial reaction to seeing them, you know, from behind, looking up at the skies, is like worry. Like, are the girls gonna be okay? Are they gonna make it here okay? What could be going on that we don't know about? Everything we, the viewer, just watched happening. You know, what trouble might they get into, and will that be something that's irreversible? You know, so like, I don't know if that's what that was signifying at all. That's what I read into it based on everything that had happened in the episode. But it was hijinks aplenty. It was highfalutin hilarity with some heartfelt characterization and drama put in there for good measure, even though it did kind of end up pointless. You know, that they were brought to these points, the awareness that will carry on from this, the fact that Shirase was willing to be so sacrificial, the fact that Miyake was as well, for the betterment of the other girls going on this journey, and Shirase's not backing down and not wanting any of them to be left behind. I think this has moved mountains in their relationships, you know, forged even stronger bonds of friendship and companionship between them for it, even if it was all for naught. I think that will be the overhanging, longest-lasting aspect to this, and I love it for that. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 6 of Sora, Yori, Tooi Basho, or A Place Further Than the Universe. If you enjoyed it as much as I did, got as many laughs out of it as I did, if you completely saw it coming, that, you know, one of the other girls was probably going to be in possession of her passport, and all of this was probably for naught. They were going to figure it out at some point and such like that. Or if you thought, you know, this was a genuine endangerment and they'd have to go get her a new passport via the embassy or something like that. Whatever your thoughts were, love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Our POVs can certainly disagree. Just love having that conversation. And so, yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.